Okay, now we are on the 8 conditions of lawful processing of personal information that I was harping about since the beginning of our session. Okay, so the first one is accountability. So, accountability means that the responsible party, so remember, the responsible party means the business that is actually processing the personal information, for example, a bank or Shuguma Enterprises or whatever government institution. So the first one, accountability. The responsible party must ensure that conditions for lawful processing are met. So accountability means that the responsible party is responsible for making sure that condition 1 to condition 8 are met. Okay, and then processing limitation, it means that you collect the information that you need for the purpose that you need it for. Let's say, for example, I'm an HR officer and new employee is starting, so I'm collecting their banking details. So in order to confirm that the banking details are correct, which leads to the fifth condition of lawful processing of information, which is information quality. So for me to ensure that the banking details are accurate, I will ask for a bank letter. So I will not ask for a bank statement because I don't need to know how this employee is spending their money, what they're subscribing to, which debt collector they're paying. I don't need to know all of that. I just need to confirm that this bank account belongs to this particular employee. So this is where processing limitation comes in. So they call it like the law of minimality, meaning that you collect the information that you need for the purposes that you need to process it for. You don't collect anything else that you don't need. For example, if I'm maybe recruiting someone and there's their CV, I don't need to know what religion they belong to unless maybe I'm recruiting, say, a pastor or a father for the covenant. That's when I would need such information. But if it's just normal Shuguma enterprises and I need a gardener, I don't need to know what religion they belong to. So this is where processing limitation comes to, okay, or comes into play. So you collect the information directly from the data subject as well. And then the third one is purpose specification. So you need to collect information for a specific purpose. So going back to the example that I made of the banking details, I would collect banking details from the employee for the purposes of making sure that every month I pay this employee's salary to the bank account. And for that, I just need the bank letter to confirm the bank number. I don't need the person's what you call this bank statement. Okay, and then the fourth one is further processing limitation. So meaning that if you collected the information, you don't, let's say maybe I collected so and so's banking details, for example, and name and surname and race and gender. So the race and gender, for example, I would collect it for the purposes of employment equity. So then I must not further process it by, say, somebody's company they call saying, look, we're looking for names and surnames of Black females. We want to promote a skincare product to them. I mustn't then give that person the employee's details without the employees consenting and giving that person their personal information directly. Okay. Then the next one is information quality, which I briefly touched on. So information quality is basically ensuring the accuracy of the information and that the information is up to date and that it's not outdated in any way. So how I would do this in my profession as a HR person, say I'm working as an HR officer, I would, when I'm collecting persons' personal details like your bank number, I would ask for a bank letter. When I capture their ID number, I would ask for a copy of their ID. When I capture their tax number, I would ask for a letter from SARS confirming their tax number, etc., etc. And maybe let's say they're applying for, or rather they're on a pension fund and they want to register their dependents as beneficiaries, then I would ask maybe for copies of their IDs to just verify that they're what do you call it, ID numbers are accurate as well. Okay. And then another way of ensuring information quality, for example, in my field, I make reference in my field. So with your field, you'll also have your checks and balances in place to make sure the information quality. So maybe every year I would send out a form for employees to update their personal details if maybe their marital status has changed, and if maybe they would like to add another beneficiary on their beneficiary nomination forms for their provident fund. or if their address has changed, maybe they've moved, or their telephone number has moved. So we need all of this in order for, as I mentioned when I was starting the training, that it is processing of personal information is required for the sake of economic and social progress. So this is the purpose of economic progress, that the employees get paid and get the necessary rewards for performing their work. And then the sixth condition is openness. Okay. So this openness regards to notifying the data subjects when you're collecting their personal information. So how do you do this? I do this in a form of a personal information form that the employee completes, so they're aware what information they're giving me, what information I'm parting with, and then I also say the purpose of me collecting their personal information. So this basically is an open and honest transaction of personal information between the data subject and the operator and the responsible party. And then security safeguards, which is a very important one. As I've said, that nobody will just come to John Doe and say, John Doe, give me Martha's name and send him in banking details. And then John Doe just parts with them, not knowing why this particular individual is asking for such personal information. But they will try and hack them using malicious links, using phishing attacks, using data mining activities, which we usually see on social media, that I will delve into at a later stage. Okay. So security safeguards means ensuring that the security measures are in place to protect the integrity and confidentiality of personal information. Okay. So this also has to do with IT systems, physical safeguards, like making sure that maybe, for example, employee personal files are in locked cabinets if you have got hard copies, and if maybe you store them on a cloud somewhere, that there's a secure password and you're not sharing the password with anyone and everyone. Okay. And then data subject participation, which is the eighth condition. So this one refers to the access to personal information by the data subject. So the data subject has the right to know what personal information of theirs you have at your possession. So they can ask you, let's say maybe Shugu Shuguma, they call me, maybe marketing, whatever, and I did not give them consent to call me, and I don't know where they got my personal details. I've got the right to ask them to give me a copy of all the personal information that belongs to me that they have. In other words, are they in possession of my bank account? Are they in possession of my sexual orientation, religious belief, etc., etc.? So they must then give me all the personal information, or a list of personal information that they have at their possession. Okay. And then also the data subject, still under data subject participation, they have the right to correction of personal information. So let's say I'm working for Shugushuguma Enterprises. I can say, no, Shugushuguma Enterprises, I have changed my address. I no longer stay in I no longer stay in Minibron. I now stay in Helderweg. God has given me an overnight home upgrade. Well, obviously, you won't say that stuff, but you've got the right to say, no, my personal details have changed. I no longer stay at this address, but now I stay there. Or no, the number of my dependents is no longer 2, but now it's 4. I've been placed with twins, etc., etc. My telephone number has changed. Please use this number to send me SMSs. Okay. And then the last one, yes, okay, that's the last one actually, data subject participation. Okay, so this is where the PIA also comes in, where we're going to have procedures of data subjects requesting and asking for certain information and certain things.